So, like you, I had a casual fan's interest in Edgar Allan Poe, and that was pretty much it for a lot of my life. Until I was looking for subject matter to make a film out of. I'm an independent filmmaker, I've made some indie films. And I stumbled across finally the idea of doing The Telltale Heart as a feature-length film because, well, it's one that Roger Corman didn't do. And there have been a lot of other adaptations of the other stories, but not The Telltale Heart. And I stumbled upon an idea that I rather liked, that it was set right at the first days after the Civil War, after Lincoln's assassination. It was to star the late Ingrid Pitt and Robert Quarry, two dear friends of mine, and alas, couldn't get the funding together and couldn't get it made. I tried twice, actually. And I kept trying to do maybe other ideas. I kept rattling them around, but every time I thought of something new, it led me to Edgar Allan Poe himself and questions about him. Who was this man that wrote this work that still spoke to us today? And in recent years, after I finally settled on doing a sort of a poor man's David Lynchian, I don't know what you would call it, sort of an exercise in looking at what drives an artist, what compels an artist to make his work, I made a little film called The Death of Poe. Well, that didn't satiate the need to know who Poe was, and so I got involved with the Poe House and Museum in Baltimore, and I was very involved with all of the fundraising, a lot of the fundraising events in the recent years when the city of Baltimore ran it. And then when there was the transition, I was involved with the transition team from the city of Baltimore to Poe Baltimore, and I served as Poe Baltimore's vice president until they were on their feet and were really up and running, raising money, and I had a heart attack. And one of the things my doctor said was, you're doing too much, you've got to cut some things out. And so unfortunately, one of the things that I cut out was working for Poe Baltimore and the Poe House in Baltimore. I am very grateful that I had the time there that I did. I spent a summer working at the Poe House, and I met people from all over the world. And they all shared the same stories, different doors into their love of Poe, his work, and his life. And there was a lot of misconception about Poe, that maybe he was this outrageous alcoholic, that maybe he was taking opium, endless things that were just some of it made up out of whole fabric. But the fascination for the man, whether the first language where his work was experienced, whether it was Chinese or whether it was from some Latin American country or from Brazil or somewhere in South America, we had people come from all over the world, and they were all fans of this man's work. And they came to the house because they wanted to know more about that man. That was my second wave of investigation and research into the life of Poe. And that led me to start writing Alone, the Life of Poe.
Alone, the Life of Poe. Together, we can bring Poe, his world, and people to life.